And as promised, Chris Mulcahy is concentrating now, trying to pull up his graphics because it is a very busy day in the weather department. This song, do you know the Carpenters? This Rainy Days and Mondays.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is a rainy day and a Monday.
Yeah, well, and talk about the case of the Mondays. I also brought up earlier the Napometer, because if you don't have to do anything, why not? But a lot of people that are watching our news, you have things to do later on today, but today's not really an inspiring whatsoever. But we got a lot going on. It's not just rain. We even have a chance for some strong thunderstorms, especially southeast of Charlotte. Could be some localized flooding. I like to call this nuisance flooding, nothing life-threatening. That really comes after days of rain. But let's bring it up. What's going on? So my favorite trick as a meteorologist, and this is kind of like a no-duh type of moment, is what is the weather that's coming at you doing now? Because that's a good testament of what you could see here. Now, of course, it's more complicated than that. You can have environment around Athens, Georgia, much different than Charlotte, and that's exactly the case and scenario. But here, I'm actually going to draw a little bit of a line. I'm going to put this into a loop that we're seeing here. So notice how it's kind of moving off towards the north and east. If I bring up our arrow tool, you can see that pretty much from this line, so it's in general, most of that activity is southeast of Charlotte, and that's significant because that's actually where we're going to have our most unstable environment, and that's actually where we have just been upgraded to a moderate threat for severe weather. Before it was low across that entire stretch. Now it looks like it's a little bit more favorable, that area could have a little bit more twist to the atmosphere and just have some stronger winds in general. The heaviest rain right now is from Statesville over to Hickory. It's starting to lighten up, even though it's still a moderate rainfall. That's what the dark green represents around Morganton. That's pushing its way further off towards the east. So we actually lucked out here in Charlotte. So we've had a nice little dry lull. It has the feeling like it's going to rain, but it's not raining at that point. It's over the next hour and a half that we're going to start to fill in the gaps, and we're going to see a lot more. Here's what I was talking about for the orange. That's the moderate threat for severe storms. Just for a sliver of our area, so it's far southeastern Anson County, Richmond, and most of Chesterfield County. Anywhere from Charlotte to Monroe and Wadesboro, still a very low threat for severe storms. I think this is mainly a rain event in general, but I am seeing what we're looking at upstream. Hail not likely, some stronger winds associated with this, but we always bring up QLCS. Everyone here on Impact News Studio is going to know what a QLCS is because we constantly bring it up. That's going to be that straight line of thunderstorms that has a little kink in it that could spin up a tornado, and it's been a classic signature that's been associated with that. But we also have a low risk for some minor flooding associated with this as well. So yeah, we got a lot going on. This is my first day taking over for Larry, and I feel like everything's happening, right?
Way to break you in.
Feeling good. Yeah, it's not really motivational when I look out the window, but luckily we're in like a cement box for a studios, so I didn't have that sleepiness that you see when you usually look out the window. How was your ride today? Was it pretty dry overall?
Dry. Just dry and gray. A little sprinkly, actually. And then when I walked through the parking lot here at the station, I noticed that the bottom of my pant legs are all wet. I thought, I don't remember.
Yeah,
I'm in a fog too. So.
Yeah, no, it poured pretty much right when I was getting out of my car, and then it stopped. It seems like as a meteorologist, I could have planned that a little bit better. Speaking of planning, one of the best tools we have is Futurecast, and I've been alternating back and forth between multiple models. That's the hardest part, is like, which one do you deem most accurate? And here, I actually want to backtrack. This is the best one. So right now, this one was showing light, moderate rainfall around Charlotte, but if I look at our current radar, this is kind of a nice little behind the scenes what we look at. I was like, what is it doing now? If you see, even though it's a little bit off, it's about an hour off, we can grid adjust it. This is the one that I like the most, so I think it's kind of agreeing with the current atmospheric conditions, because models will either update every 3 hours, 6 hours, every 12 hours. This one updates every hour, so this is really a trusty one, picking up on the conditions. So moving towards 10 o'clock, so an hour from right now, we're starting to see the leading edge of that heavier rain. Once that passes, it's just rain for the rest of the day. But that leading edge is where you could have the spin-up tornado or the stronger winds. Look what happens when it pushes its way off towards the east. Becomes a little bit more defined. That's why you have that moderate risk for storms further to the southeast. Now, in my experience, these times can be kind of frustrating because you have all these warnings and outlooks, and sometimes it pumps it up a little bit more than it actually is. But what we saw in Monroe in March, it was our first severe weather event, remember, where we had That quick spin-up tornado took the roof off a couple of buildings. I think that's the case and scenario that we see. You could have some gusty winds where it's very isolated. Most of us have just rain. It gets breezy regardless. Winds gust from 30 to 40 miles per hour from really like 10 to 2 o'clock. But I think along this line, as it gets a little bit closer, and here I'll bring up my arrow tool because I want to point out a couple of things along this line. The current conditions are showing that you have a couple of grooves. That's what I'm talking about on this line. That's 2 o'clock, moving towards 3 o'clock. We start to see a little spin, chance of supercells. There's a little notch there. This one, notice how it really blows up. That's why we're seeing a much more favorable environment down towards the south and east. So Charlotte, likely you're going to have some heavy rain that ends your morning, begins your afternoon, and then afterwards you might have on and off rain, some periods that it's drier. So not technical washout today because we did hit that dry period. And then the last of this rain is going to push through about the middle of the evening, and then by about midnight, we're good to go. So the reason why we even have this is the exact same system that dumps up to a foot of rain in Kentucky and parts of Alabama over to Arkansas. It just wasn't moving. Now it's moving. We got rid of the 80s. We're about to cool down, but it's taking its sweet time. And oftentimes when you got a little low, that can allow for a little twist to the atmosphere. So as that pushes off towards the east, it's going to drag in some drier air. Right now it's super humid, but soon we're about to get rid of that humid air, and it's kind of back to pre-spring status. So we should be 71 degrees for an average early April day. We're back below normal, where tomorrow's actually going to feel chilly in the lower 60s. So I'm going to end on a frosty note. Wednesday, 35 degrees with the chance for frost. You do not need a freezing temperature to have frost on the windshield or frost in your plants. Did you all plant plants too early, or were you good?
Greg has put the plants outside already, and
Okay.
I told him it's too early.
Okay, there we
He
go.
worked in the business. He knows this.
You would
He
think.
knows
Tax
it.
day rule. He knows
Tax, I
that.
know, that's all I've learned from you guys.
That's yeah.
Wait till after
But
April
he-
15th, but sure
I
enough,
think I
He
have.
disobeyed.
some people are just not, they feel the warm spring air, and they're like, yeah, this is a great time
Yep.
to go out and into the garden.
Yeah, and it's okay. If you're that person, all you have to do is just cover them with something. I like a painting tarp is a good idea. Even if it's a small plant, put a bucket over it, because frost needs open air. You don't have to worry about a hard freeze. So what you've also noticed is, like, next time it's a frosty day, you're not going to really have this. If you look at the grass, if there's tree branches over it, you'll actually see no frost on the grass there, because if there's any sort of covering, you don't have to worry about it. So you can even bring it under a covered porch and you'll be okay. That's
Okay.
the only chance that we have there.
Do you have a
But
covered porch, Carlene?
Nope.
oh, okay.
Out there in the
So
elements, girl.
so a bucket or some sort of blanket, you're gonna
Like
be
a
okay.
sheet?
Yeah, sheets
My mom
works.
taught
Yeah.
you to
Yeah, yeah,
Sheets
yeah.
are good.
I see blankets.
Yeah, because a
sheets.
painting tarp's more for if you have a bush, a flowering bush. So yeah, just letting you know that there is going to be some cooler temperatures, and I'll show the 7-day one more time. Let's bring this
Okay.
up.
Is it?
It's going to be much cooler. We tied a record back to back. We also had 3 straight mornings of a record warm low. So this is going to be a choice word, because it's going to be significantly cooler. Highs only in the lower 60s. But I'll likely be back over the next hour to give you an update on the severe weather or just rain in general. So thanks a lot for listening, and we'll keep you in the know here on WCNC and WCNC Plus.
Listening and watching. Thank you very much,
Of
Chris.
course.
Love the comprehensive check of our weather to begin this Monday.
Thank
But
you.